Hello everyone, my name is Kylie Knott. I am the creator of the Earth's Essentials community and I'm so happy to be here today sharing this topic with you. So I'm going to be talking about how to use essential oils in your cooking to flavour your food and to get the therapeutic benefits from doing so, and why you might like to use essential oils in your food. I also want to touch on the artificial colours, flavours and preservatives that are in so many of the foods that we eat and why it's really important to try and avoid these chemicals. Also hoping that maybe I might even inspire a few people today to get a bit more creative in the kitchen and to start swapping out some of their food choices and realize that cooking doesn't have to be a hard or strenuous task, that you can make some really easy, quick, nutritious, cost-effective meals that nourish you, nourish your family. You can make a big batch, you can freeze it up, and you always know that you've got a nice wholesome meal there waiting for you. So you're not feeling like you have to rely on processed convenience food. So first of all, I'll make mention that I don't claim to be a master chef. I am a self-taught cook. I like to think that I'm okay at it. Haven't always been. I left home at 16. I was never taught to cook, so I literally just learnt from there up. I've got a friend that likes to joke about how coming to my house for dinner was always so wonderful because he'd get fed fish fingers and 2-minute noodles. So I'm pleased to say I've come a long way since then. But I genuinely really enjoy cooking now. I didn't used to, but I have learned to really embrace cooking, and I like getting really creative in the kitchen. And when I say creative, I'm not talking fancy little cakes and icing and that. In fact, I'm a little ashamed to admit I've never even made my kids' birthday cakes. Oh, I lie. My eldest son's first birthday, I made his giant cupcake for his cake smash, and it was an absolute disaster, which is probably why I never tried again. So, I'm not talking fancy meals here, guys. I'm talking basic, wholesome, quick, easy, nutritious family meals. Now, let's chat about essential oils and how and why you would use them in your cooking. So there's a lot of debate and controversial discussions that take place about this topic. So if you were to jump on Google, you probably see all sorts of opinions for and against it. Now, this is where I stand on it. I've always advocated for people making their own informed choices, and I stand by that. I think people should govern themselves and trust their own intuition and their common sense. You can read a lot of stuff. There's social media, there's stuff everywhere in this modern world. You're always hearing, there's a lot of noise. That's how I see it. It's noisy. And that noise you hear is opinions from other people, okay? And those opinions are based on people's experiences and sometimes just from what they've heard, and it kind of just flows on, okay? So I think it's easy to get a little bit lost in that, and we lose sight of what's real or what our own opinion is. So there is also a lot of science-based research as well out there. And I like to think of myself as someone that sits in between. If it's someone that I really value and trust, their opinion's important to me, and I think there's a lot of worth in that, and I'm not going to devalue other people's opinions, not at all. But I think it's good to find a bit of a balance between, what other people's opinions are and that stuff that you read and you hear and you see, and also, the facts, the science, the research, and then find what feels right for you. At the end of the day, I invite you and I encourage you to do your own reading on this topic and anything really, and you do what feels right and aligned for you and your family. But I do want to start by pointing out a very obvious fact, and that is, we all know that when we eat fruits, herbs and vegetables, that they are good for us, that we are nourishing our bodies. We know that, right? We've known that since the beginning of time, that eating real food, i.e. vegetables, plants, fruit, herbs, that they nourish our bodies. They help us grow, they help us heal, they help us function at our best. They're good for us. So it's kind of a no-brainer, if you ask me, why the essential oils that are extracted from them are also good for us. Why wouldn't they be? An essential oil, a pure essential oil, is just that. It is the essential oil extracted from the plant, from the herb, from the fruit. The essential oil, please excuse my dog in the background. She's a very snorty dog and she snores a lot. So if you hear her, that's what it is. People often ask me with my videos, because I tune out to it, I hear it all the time, and they often say, what is that noise? So I do apologize if you can hear her. So yes, essential oils are just the plant extract. That's it. And I like to think of an essential oil, what it actually is. It's like the plant's lifeblood. It's the plant's immune system. That is what helps that plant thrive and heal and flourish itself. And so we know it's good for us because we eat it. We're already eating it. Admittedly, yes, in its whole food form. The essential oil is just a more concentrated version of it, 70 to 90% stronger, in fact. But the advantage of that is it makes it super, super affordable because they're so concentrated. They last such a long time. You don't need to use much. In fact, one drop of a pure essential oil is enough to service every single cell in the human body, and that's a scientific fact. Now, personally, I believe that using a good quality, proper, pure essential oil, where you know exactly what's in that bottle, that it is safe to use internally, and that you are also using safe practices in doing so, is really, really important. There are some not so well-educated people out there that will grab a bottle of essential oil and pour half of it into a glass of water and drink it. You know, that's not a smart idea. I don't recommend doing this. However, putting a drop of a pure essential oil into a glass of water, such as lemon, for example. I love lemon in my water, love the taste. I'm one of these people that would eat a whole lemon. But I also love the way it makes me feel. We all know lemon's very detoxifying. I would say most people have heard of the lemon detox diet. It's very cleansing on the body, on the lymphatic system. And so adding a drop to my water, I really feel the benefits of doing that. And this is where I think it's really important to tap into your body and listen to your body and the way that it responds to the things that you put in it and the things that you do or on it. And if you feel good doing something and you continue feeling good doing it, then you know you're on the right track. If you don't, then you know not to do it and stop. Try something else. So tune into yourself, experiment a little bit, and always use your common sense. Now, in terms of the safety and the quality, this is really, really important. I would not be telling you guys just to go out and buy essential oils from anywhere. You can get essential oils from just about everywhere these days. It's very saturated, so you can get them from your chemist, your health food store, your supermarket. Kmart sell them. You can get them online, like it's even the $2 shop sell essential oils. I would strongly caution you with this. The essential oil industry is not regulated at all, as are many industries. It's a terrible, terrible fact. Even the food industry is very loosely regulated, which it's really concerning. So what this means is that an essential oil company can put whatever they want in that bottle and they don't have to disclose it. In fact, they can even label it pure. This makes me so angry because that poor consumer doesn't know what they are buying or spending their money on. So regardless of if it's laced with fillers, such as methylated spirits and fragrances, don't even get me started on how dangerous fragrance is, they can still say it's pure. It's a very, very alarming fact that 95% of essential oils on today's market are adulterated in some way. And this is a really key point that I want to make. And it's something I think is going to change. I think it is on the change, and doTERRA have a big part in this. They really are changing the essential oil industry and the healthcare industry as we know it. Essential oils have been used for hundreds and thousands of years for their therapeutic benefits. They had gotten a little bit lost. They got a little bit lost and forgotten about in this Western modern day world, okay? But times are changing. Things are starting to go back to basics a little bit, where we are starting to use nature's tools the way that Mother Nature intended a little bit more, and we're starting to work a bit more harmoniously with Western medicine and nature and using a combination, which is really great to see, and doTERRA have played a huge part in that. doTERRA are now in many hospitals, ambulances. They're using some essential oils instead of opioids, which is amazing. They are on some health insurance policies over in the US, not essential oils, just doTERRA essential oils. Now, if this doesn't speak in volumes, then I don't know what does. They are being used in chiropractic clinics, in physiotherapy clinics. It's really exciting to see that change is happening. But with the way this industry is going and how unregulated it is, we need to be careful, because there is so much hype and there are so many companies springing up all over the place who are trying to duplicate what doTERRA are doing, and they're not doing it properly. And they get away with it because they know they can. All right, so you need to be really careful during this transition phase. It's exciting, it's really exciting, but you do need to be careful. Now, this takes me to my point of why I love doTERRA. One of the many reasons I love doTERRA so much, because they are so transparent. Their transparency is truly, truly unique. You can look at a batch number on any essential oil bottle, and you can key that number into their Source to You website, and it's going to bring up all the information on that very bottle of oil, where it was sourced, when it was sourced, what tests were done on it, what those test results were, everything you need to know. Very transparent. They have nothing to hide. You can watch videos on their sourcing, their distilling, their harvesting, all of that, their bottling. There is nothing to hide. Not to mention, and I can say this with confidence because I have so much experience with using essential oils and many brands, but when you can smell the difference. Once you know what you're looking for, you can smell it, and then you begin to see the difference too in the results that you get. The other thing I love is that they have third-party laboratories test their oils for them as well. So it's not just them, as in doTERRA, saying their oils are what they say they are, that they've got other companies, non-affiliated companies who they pay to test their oils, backing that up. They can vouch for that as well. That's incredible. So doTERRA have been very clear on their practices, where they source, how they source. They make sure that there is quality assurance with all of their oils, and they are very, very clear about exactly what is in their bottles. And they've done this the way they have to combat a lot of those other oil companies out there that are doing all kinds of crazy things. And they just want people to know and feel safe that they are using a very, very high quality, pure essential oil that is going to be fine for use as a therapeutic oil. I personally have researched, used and experimented with so many different brands of essential oils over the last 17 years. doTERRA is the only brand that I now use and 110% trust, especially with ingesting and using it in cooking. I trust them. I trust doTERRA's oils 110%. I also know that their oils are ethically sourced, so I feel very, very confident in using them for myself and my family, and that includes internally. So cooking with oils is a really beautiful thing. Even if you don't want to use them internally out of your own beliefs or fears, that's totally fine, guys. You can still use essential oils in a diffuser on your skin. There's so many ways for your cleaning, okay? But I just want to point this out, that using essential oils internally and using essential oils in cooking are slightly different things. Now, when I think of essential oil usage internally, I think to pop a drop under my tongue, in a veggie capsule, or in some water and sort of swallowing it like that. Using them in cooking is a bit different because you're adding them to food. Okay, so you're basically putting it back in like a whole form again, in a sense. And when you think about it too, essential oils have been used to flavour food since forever anyway. So essential oils, flavours, natural flavours, essences, extracts, if you look on the backs of your products, on those labels, they've been being added to food for the longest time. So you already have been ingesting essential oils in that way. You may just not have realised it. And if you look at the history of essential oils, you know, that it has been this way since forever. The problem that we have though in today's society is that we have a lot of artificial flavours and colours and preservatives as well, of all kinds, and this is really scary. These ingredients are natural, they are chemicals, and they are used to make our food last longer and to taste good. And this is where you need to be so careful. Do you guys look at the ingredients in the things that you buy and consume from your supermarket? You will generally notice that it has got a series of numbers, and these represent preservatives and colours and flavours, artificial flavours. If you see the word flavouring on any label, throw it away or put it back, because under that label can be hundreds of chemicals that doesn't have to be disclosed. Okay, so flavouring is not good. Natural something, extract, different story, and you still see that, but just is becoming less. People are using this fake stuff because it's cheaper. Okay, those numbers, there's so many numbers. A lot of people don't even know what they mean. I myself didn't until I did a lot of study on this topic, on preservatives and colours and flavours and fragrances and all that stuff. So this has basically been something, these chemicals are used to create something to taste like something, or to make it last longer, or to have a certain colour. And these colours, flavours and preservatives are linked to all kinds of horrible health problems that a lot of people aren't even aware of. They are endocrine disrupting chemicals that cause cancers, reproductive problems, mood and sleep disturbances, behaviour and learning problems, particularly in children. This is a big one. They wreak havoc on your gut health and other vital organs of your body and your body systems. The list goes on, guys. It's really concerning. It's no wonder we're seeing more and more illness and disease in the world. People are so quick to slap labels on children these days, when often, and I'm not saying always, but often their learning problems, their behaviour problems are just linked back to their diet. It's sad that people aren't realising that with a bit of a change in diet, it can do so much. And I understand often people feel very overwhelmed by this, but I promise you it doesn't need to be. There's so much support out there, so many amazing, easy recipes that you can follow, ways that, like using essential oils instead of the fake artificial stuff. Like, there's so many ways you can combat this. Now, as sad as this seems, and as depressing as it seems, it's also really exciting and empowering, because we as adults and as parents can change it. We have a say. We get to choose how we look after our families and what we feed ourselves and our children. I personally would much rather taste the real thing than something synthetic and toxic any day. So the beauty of using your essential oils in your cooking is that you get to cut out all of those numbers and all that extra crap that you do not need and that is harming your body and your beautiful children. And you get to be more direct and hands-on and intentional and know exactly what is in your food and take out all of the rubbish. So I like to keep my oils around the house, in my kitchen obviously, my cooking oils, so that they're easy accessible and they're there if and when I need them. There's so many oils that you can use in your cooking, guys. The list goes on and on. And if you're ever in doubt, doTERRA's bottles will always say on there if it's safe for internal use or ingestion, okay? Basically, if the plant or the herb is safe for ingestion, then a doTERRA's essential oil is as well. Obviously not all plants can be ingested or should be ingested, so obviously you wouldn't ingest that essential oil either. But if in doubt, just check the bottle. So you've got your herbaceous oils such as marjoram, dill, rosemary, lemongrass, oregano, basil, thyme, fennel, cilantro, coriander, peppermint, spearmint. You've got your floral oils, which are great for baking and making teas with, like your chamomile and your lavender. You've got your citrus oils such as your wild orange, your lime, lemon, green mandarin, red mandarin, bergamot, grapefruit, tangerine. You've got your spice oils such as your cinnamon bark, your black pepper, cardamom, cassia, ginger, clove, cumin, turmeric, list goes on. And you imagine all the tasty meals that you can make with those oils. Like it's like a party on your taste buds. Not obviously all of them at once, but there's so many dishes you can make and incorporate them into. Not to mention the therapeutic benefits of doing so. So some of the meals I like to make with my oils are a lemongrass and ginger stir fry. Sometimes I use a bit of basil or lemon or lime, really yummy flavors in stir fries. I made this amazing Asian style soup the other night and it had lemongrass, lemon and ginger in it. That was delicious. I like to make teas with peppermint, chamomile, lavender, cinnamon, orange, turmeric, clove. My kids love a honey and lemon tea rather than using the synthetic Lemsip. We make our own. My kids love it. Very soothing on a sore throat, great for the lymphatic system. Smoothies, you can add peppermint, anything citrus, cinnamon, really yummy. I even made Bailey's the other night, bit of a naughty nighttime treat, and I added some cinnamon to that and it was really yummy. If you like cinnamon. I sometimes use a drop of peppermint in my coffee in the morning, not only because it tastes amazing and I love the taste of peppermint, but peppermint's also really uplifting, so it's like a double whammy. Such a great pick-me-up in the morning. If you don't like coffee, try it in a hot chocolate or even spearmint, so yummy. Tuna mornay, I like to use some lemon. Any fish dish really, I'll use lemon with. Cupcakes, I use lavender and lemon. You might be surprised to hear that, but lavender's beautiful in baking. Anything citrus is nice as well. I love making an apple cinnamon tea cake. That's a really popular one I often take to some of my classes. Rosemary roast potatoes, oh my gosh, don't get me started. They are to die for. Choc mint brownies and slices, bliss balls, use peppermint or spearmint. Anything choc mint is so yummy. You can even use white chocolate. Wild orange is really nice in white chocolate. You can make like a white chocolate bark with some dried fruit and nuts sprinkled on top. It's really yummy. So easy. Curries, you can use your spice oils like your gingers and cardamoms and so forth. The list goes on. Any recipe that calls for herbs and spices and any of those above, you can use them instead. So what is the difference between using essential oils versus herbs, like as in your fresh herbs or your lemon rind or whatever, your juices of a lemon or your dried herbs, whatever. Don't get me wrong, I love fresh herbs, I do. But what I was finding was that I was buying big bunches of fresh herbs and it smelled so good, but I'd use some of it for one meal and then it would go in the fridge and it would just go yucky and get wasted. And I was spending a lot of money doing that over time as well. And with my dried herbs are never as nice as fresh. And they're certainly not as nice as essential oils either. So every now and again, I still use fresh herbs for garnish. Unfortunately, essential oils can't do that. But one of the beauties of using essential oils instead of your fresh herbs in most of my cooking, I find is that because they're so very concentrated and a little goes such a long way, they last the longest time and they are so incredibly cost effective. So we save so much money now on our herbs and our spices. Now, let me just scroll down. Bear with me, guys. I've got a few notes here. I just want to make sure I don't forget anything. All right, so I'm going to bring you to what I'm making today. I am making a spaghetti bolognese. Unfortunately, I can't spin this phone around once it starts recording, so I'm just going to have to try and show you. But here I've got lots of vegetables. I put a lot of veg in my spaghetti bolognese, mainly just to make it a more balanced meal, and my family love veg. my boys included. So we've got carrots, zucchini, onion and garlic and mushrooms. We've got our mincemeat and we've got some baby spinach there. And then of course we've got our basil and our oregano. So it's a family favourite, it really is. So when I do make spaghetti bolognese, I tend to make a big batch of it, and I'm talking like 1.5 kilos of meat to all that veg, and I will freeze it. And that way we know that we've always got those nutritious sorts of meals. I'm not just talking about spaghetti bolognese, anything like this that I make, I generally do a bigger batch so that I can freeze it. And then on those nights that, you know, we're home from work and we're tired or we just don't get time, instead of being tempted to go through a drive-through or buy something processed, we can reach for a nutritious home cooked meal that's already prepared for us. So I'm sure you guys probably have your own spaghetti bolognese recipe. It's a very popular meal. Like I said, I add a lot of veg to mine, mainly to make it a more balanced meal, but we also love vegetables. However, if you've got a child that's not a fan on veg, you can still get all these veggies into them by making your sauce separately, which I do sometimes just because I don't eat meat, so then I can still eat it as well. And then you blitz up your sauce and they will never know it's good for them. So then you just pour your sauce over your meat. So you can still use all those veggies even if your kids don't eat veg. I call it a secret veggie sauce, and you can actually add it to just about anything. There's lots of dishes you can add that sauce to, and again, you can freeze it. So on that note, if you've got children that you're trying to encourage to eat a variety of foods, I recommend changing it up a bit. Change the way you present the food, the colors, the textures, and experiment with that, and just see how your kids go. I'm a big believer in putting things in front of your kids without that automatic expectation that they're not going to like it or eat it. And I see parents thinking all the time, oh, my kids don't like greens, or my kids don't like greens, I'm not even going to bother. And they often get scared and fearful of that rejection of their child not wanting to eat the food. So for me personally, I put everything in front of my kids, and my kids are amazing eaters. They love their vegetables. I'm always respectful. If there's something they don't like, I don't force them to eat it. Like Ethan's not a fan of pumpkin, but he loves every other vegetable. So, but I don't load his plate up. I'm not going to present him with a bowl of pumpkin soup. The kid doesn't like it, but I will put a little piece of pumpkin on his plate when I do cook pumpkin, just to give him the opportunity to try it again. Because if I give up on him, how's he ever going to know, right? And you know what? Because I educate my children on what nutrition actually is, what real food is, and I help them learn how to be in tune with their own body so they can feel themselves. When I eat these foods, I feel this way. When I eat these foods, I feel this way. And this is how my body responds. So they're learning from a really young age to have a healthy relationship with food because they're educated. It's not forced, but it's giving them the freedom to choose. And you know what? My kids make really smart choices. Not always, but they're really, really in tune with their bodies and they know. So Ethan will actually eat the little piece of pumpkin that I put on his plate. Sometimes he mixes it with something he likes, which is something I'd suggested a while ago, and he's taken that on board. So he'll put it with his carrot or his broccoli or something that he does like, because it makes it easy to eat. But he chooses to do that because he knows that the pumpkin's good for him. So if I didn't present that opportunity to him, oh, well, he doesn't like it, what's the point? Then he wouldn't do it, or he'd never be given that opportunity to try it again. Because our taste buds change, our senses change as we get older. So I think it's important to keep presenting these opportunities to our kids. And we are creatures of habit, and habits are hard to break. And the longer we're in those habits for, the harder they are to break. So personally, I would rather create good, healthy habits now and educate my kids and give them opportunity and teach them about good nutrition and present them with opportunities to try new foods and new different ways and textures and all sorts, than try and fix a problem later. That's my personal opinion on that. As I said, there's lots of opinions out there. So when adding your essential oils in, whilst they are very, very powerful, they are also very delicate. They have very precious properties that can be damaged by heat. So that being said, wherever possible, add your essential oils in towards the end of your cooking. It's not always possible, particularly with baking. At the very least, you're still going to get the incredible flavour. It's not going to burn the flavour out, but you may lose some of the therapeutic properties and benefits. So with my spaghetti bolognese, I'm going to cook all my veg and my meat up, and add my sauces, and then at the end, when I add my spinach, probably a couple of minutes before it's done, then I'll add in my essential oils. Now, to about 1.5 kilos of meat, I use a couple of drops of basil, and I use just 1 drop of oregano because I know that's how we like it. But again, remember what I suggested, using the toothpick effect when you're starting out, because you can taste test it and then add more if you need to, particularly with oregano because it is very, very strong. So I think I have covered everything. Let me just check my notes. Oh, the other thing I did just want to mention is, where possible as well, add your essential oils into a liquid first. Obviously with spaghetti bolognese, you're mixing it into sauce, so you're all good. With rosemary roast potatoes, for example, I fill up a cup with some olive oil, and then I pop a few drops of rosemary into that, mix it, and then I pour it over my potatoes. Okay, so you don't want one concentrated drop just to go on one spot of food, and then you find the rest of the food, you can't taste it, but you get a mind-blowing mouthful of it. So try, if you can, to add it to a liquid and then put it into the food, or if you can't, like if it's a bliss ball or something and it's in a blitzer, just make sure you blitz it really, really well, okay? So this, I'm going to start cooking now. You guys don't need to see that. You know how to cook a spaghetti bolognese. It's pretty easy. I'll just serve that on a bed of pasta, or a bed of baby spinach, or zucchini noodles, whatever. It's a wholesome, delicious meal. It's quick, it's easy. It's actually quite cheap to make, and you're also loading up with real flavor, real nutrition, rather than buying it frozen, packaged, with who knows what's in it. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I do hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to sing out anytime. I'm happy to help. See you guys.